So, we all know who Miku is. I really don't think I need to spend 10 minutes explaining who exactly Hatsune Miku is. I really don't think I need to. And I'm not setting up a bit where I do just that. If you're watching this video and somehow don't know her, first off, thank you for watching, but why? And secondly, go listen to her music. They're really nice to listen to, but also watch the video essay about her creation because, again, this is not the video for that. But be sure to do those two things after this video because I really need the watch time. Okay, with all that done with, we can actually get into the main subject of this video. So, once again, Miku. I love her. You possibly love her. We all love Miku. The world was created just for her to exist as well as belonging to her. All this to say that with a majorly popular character like her, she'd naturally be everywhere, whether that be collabs with other musicians, animes, doujinshis, all sorts of merchandise like keychains, plushies, figures, and then lastly for what's gonna be the main subject of this video, video games. If you're a fan of Miku or even just a fan of rhythm games, then you most likely would have heard of the Project Diva games. As mentioned, they're rhythm games that involve other Vocaloids and their songs, but the main star is naturally Miku and her songs. This is a long-running series that started back in 2009 with the PSP. You know, with a series that kinda has an arcadey feel to it, it's surprising to see that it debuted as a PSP game. This series is primarily Miku's main game that she appears in, and now as much as I can possibly go on about the series, which realistically wouldn't be much, this video isn't about those games. As I've mentioned not too long ago, Hatsune Miku makes a lot of appearances, or rather is in a lot of things. So what I really want to talk about today are the games where she makes an appearance. The many appearances of Hatsune Miku, you could even say. See what I did there? See what I did there? Mwah. Cinema. But before I do jump right into it, I should probably lay some ground rules as to my definition of making an appearance. Otherwise, I feel like some people will call out and ask why I didn't mention some niche game that plays one of her songs or one where she speaks a single line. So when I say appearance, I mean that Miku herself has to be visible on screen. Whether that means only showing her upper or lower half, or even just her arm that clearly states that it's Miku, then it'll count. Another thing that I'll accept, and I'm being generous here, is even a costume that makes you look like her. I'll only accept this because while it may not be her, it's still her clothes that you're given which you can use to make her and she'll technically be in the game. But only if it's an official Hatsune Miku costume that's part of the game as DLC, so no character creator shenanigans. So with that all laid out and explained, let's actually see the many appearances that Hatsune Miku makes. While it makes sense to talk about other genres of games that she's been in, I think we should slowly make our way towards them. So, to start things off, I'm gonna quickly talk about some other rhythm games that she's been in. Starting with the Fitness Boxing series. So, to simply explain what this series is, this is a series of boxing rhythm games on the Nintendo Switch. And what makes this series kinda unique is that it uses motion controls as you mimic some of the boxing techniques while in sync to the music's rhythm. I've always found this series to be interesting because Nintendo would heavily promote these games. A bit of an exaggeration, but that's what it felt like to me, which made it feel like these were first-party games when, in actuality, they aren't. So because of that, I did some light research, which means I looked at the game's Wikipedia, and what I found is that it kinda originated in the Wii, but as a different series called Shape Boxing. And finding that out sort of makes sense now because of the use of motion controls. Not that it's the only game that uses motion controls, I just want to state that. Not only that, but it's just really funny to see how these are just the same games. This really is a just stands for boxing, huh? But we don't care about the history of the series. What we really want to know is where's Miku? And well, she actually doesn't make an appearance in the main series. Instead, she has her own spin-off game called Fitness Boxing featuring Hatsune Miku. Quite the original title if I say so. Similar to the Project Diva games, it mainly stars Hatsune Miku, however other Vocaloids in their songs are playable, so everyone gets to enjoy the fun of exercising. Yay! When it comes to the music selection, from what I know, most of it is pretty much already existing Miku music, which naturally is something you want to have since it is a Miku-centric game. But I feel like you also want a few original tracks, which I can say that this game does have. And luckily, there were 3 songs that were made specifically for this game. And those are, let me check my notes here, Let's Mikusercise, Rise Up, Rise Up, Rise Up, and then Medical Adol, or Medic Adol. Also, this is just me rambling, but that last one kind of confuses me, because reading the katakana out loud, it's Medikadoru, which kind of sounds like medical doll, or it sounds like it'd be translated as medical doll, but I guess it's not. It's Medic Adol. I don't know. I'm not I'm not proficient enough in Japanese or at all, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just being schizo here. I don't know. And to go on a bit of another tangent, but staying on topic, Luca as well as Rin and Lin also have one original song made for this game. And those are Overlit for Luca, Champion Road to True Love for Rin, and Love Song ni Shukuhayo for Lin. Dog, I actually thought I was going to mess up that last one, but somehow did it in one take. Though I probably mispronounced it or something, for all I know. Anyways, I only point that out because I don't really listen to them, so it took me a bit to find out that those were original songs for them. But to go back to the music selection, I gotta say, the number of them are so very few. I mean, luckily for me, the songs that I like are in the game, like Goddish, The End of Hatsune Miku, which I thought was The Disappearance of Hatsune Miku, which is why the title is The Many Appearances of Hatsune Miku, but yeah. The Vampire in Popipole. So I got lucky in that regard, but it still kind of sucks that the song list isn't big, considering that it's sharing 3 different Vocaloids. Well, 4 because of Rin and Lin. But overall, this game is a fun hour or 2 sinker whenever you're feeling like doing a light exercise while playing some Miku songs. Though again, I wish the song list was a bit longer and hopefully they add more in the future as DLC or something, even though I don't really like saying that. But that's all I have to say, so let's move on to the next rhythm game. The next game we have here that's still a rhythm game is
Persona 4, Dancing All Night.
An unwelcome spin-off back in its day, but an unwelcome one nowadays. How very much like the Persona community. To give a brief history of this game came out on the PS Vita during Persona 4's spin-off days, where people were getting tired of Persona 4 as fans just wanted to get Persona 5. First off, yes, the PS Vita, you know, the handheld that PlayStation released that kind of flopped because Sony didn't really support it when they needed to. Which led PlayStation to making the decision to never make handheld consoles ever again, as they thought it was a fruitless endeavor. Only for Nintendo to come out with a Switch, which would become a major success. Which now has them considering making handhelds again, as they released a shitty PlayStation Portal, which isn't really a handheld console, but as of writing the script, which will be December 2024, there were rumors of them making a new dedicated handheld console, so yeah. And now you might be wondering, as Plush, what was the point of the tangent? I like money. Like, subscribe, and donate to my Ko-Fi for even more epic tangents like that. Yeah. But to actually get back on topic, this game is a rhythm game if you couldn't tell from the footage, mainly featuring the Persona 4 cast. It's meant to take place after the main events of Persona 4, but before the reunion that happens in Golden, but that doesn't matter. The game is pretty fun, and the music selection is naturally gonna be from the game's OST, but remixed, and they're pretty good for the most part. But we don't care about all of that. We're only here for Miku, dammit, so where is she? Well, frantic viewer, she was released as DLC for this game. Now, another tangent. But there's one thing I want to mention, and that's that this game used to only be on the PS Vita until it was re-released along in the pre-order bundle with Persona 3 Dancing in Moonlight and Persona 5 Dancing in Starlight. But of course it would then be sold by itself, digitally only. I only bring this up because the footage that you'll be seeing is from the PS Vita version, even though I do own the PS4 version. So why aren't you seeing Persona 4 Miku in 1080p? Well, for some reason, when re-releasing this game, Atlus decided to not release it as a complete version, but rather as the regular version, which means you'll have to buy the DLC. Crazy. I didn't realize this until I had to record the footage, so thankfully I have other means of getting the DLC. Back on topic again, as for Miku's inclusion, when getting her, she doesn't come with any of her songs, which is unfortunate. Unlucky even. Instead, she comes with a different remix of Heaven, sung by her. Which I will say it's very good in my opinion. Again, it's really unfortunate that she doesn't come with any of her songs, but it also makes sense since it is a Persona 4 centric game. Doesn't mean I can't be upset about it in the slightest. But I guess we have to take whatever dub we can. Now the next question you might have after getting her will probably be, can I choose her with any of the other songs? And to that, it's a disappointing no. You only get her along with that one remix where she's only selectable and has no interaction with any of the cast. Again, very disappointing. It's very sad seeing that be the case when I feel like since they had the mocaps and everything for the dances, I feel like they could have just adjusted it to work with Miku, but I guess they considered it being too time consuming as well as costing a good amount to do for them to end up with little return. The only other thing I'll add before moving on to the next game is that I really like this Miku design, and it sucks that this is where we only get to see it. The outfit gives off this techno vibe while still making her fit along with the cast. I don't know if it's unpopular or what, as I don't see people make art of it. I don't know if it's just that or it's probably just because it's not relevant anymore, but I like to see more artists acknowledge it as, again, I think it looks really nice. I'm gonna sound like a negative Nancy here, but I just feel like more could have been done with this collab. I mean, if you're gonna add an icon like Miku to your rhythm game, I feel like you have to go all out or at least do more than just adding her and only being able to play as her for one song that isn't even hers. I mean, it's still cool that she does a cover for one of the game's songs, but come on, I feel like they could have done a bit more, or at least have more covers from her. And as for the collab itself, it is surprising, however, we have to remember that Atlus is owned by Sega, and they also do the Project Diva games. So while it is still a surprising inclusion, it wasn't out of the realm of possibilities. Okay, I'm gonna move on before I go on another tangent. This time we're gonna be shifting genres a bit, and I only say a bit because while the gameplay is different, it still has rhythm elements to it, so yeah. That game being Crypt of the Necrodancer. This collab by far I would say is the most surprising one, as this game is an indie game. So the connections must have been really strong to have even made this possible. Though then again, this is the same team that were able to make a deal with Nintendo to make a crossover Zelda spin-off, which that one was also crazy to see. But Cadence of Hyrule doesn't have Miku in it, so we don't really care about that game for right now. Off to the Shadow Realm it goes. Crypt of the Necrodancer is a roguelike, and from that you're either sighing at the fact that it's another indie roguelike game, or giddy with joy that it's another indie roguelike game. I have no qualms about the genre itself as I haven't played too many roguelikes, but what makes this game at least unique from the others, as I mentioned earlier, it has rhythm game elements to it. Not in the way that you have to press buttons in the tune of the beat like Project Diva, but more so that every action you make, whether that be movement or attacking, has to be done in tune to the beat. Otherwise, if you're off beat, then your actions do not go through, leaving you vulnerable to being attacked, and believe me, you do not want that happening to you. Now, there is more I could get into about the mechanics of the game, but I'll just stop here as for this video, all you really need to know are the basic mechanics. Now, Miku comes in the form of DLC for this game, not surprising there, where she comes in this cute little sprite. Before getting into the songs, another thing you should know is that each level for this game has 3 floors that you need to clear before getting to the boss. And each floor has different music to sort of up the ante. So what does that mean for Miku? Well, it means that she comes with 3 original songs for this game. Which, you know, it's good and all, as you would want to try and get original songs instead of relying on already existing songs, as the selection could be polarizing with fans. But sometimes you do want to hear your favorites, and that isn't possible with this game. Actually, before I move on, I want to state that I was actually wrong about that, because while there are some original Miku songs in this game, there were some already existing Miku songs in this game as well. Just wanted to quickly clear that up before I have some angry comments telling me that I'm wrong. At least when it comes to the console versions for this game. This is where the PC version shows its superiority. Yes, PC players, I'm stroking your already inflated, pyro reference, ego. I kneel. You see, on PC, the game gives you the option to add in your own music, which means you can add however many Miku songs to the game, making the selection limitless. So in the end, the game could just end up becoming a Miku game instead of, well, Crypto the Necrodancer, which is insane. Though if you do end up doing that, then you have to add the beats either yourself or have the game do it for you, and hope that it doesn't spaz out and ends up making the game difficult. But hey, anything for Miku, right? And that's all I really have to say about this game, so check it out because it's really fun and it usually tends to go on sale, so it's definitely worth buying it. I meant trying, but also buy it. Now switching to a completely different genre and tone, as I've mentioned in the Axe Shonen Jump manga video, check that out after this, but I'll once again mention it. I love this series for its characters, the stories, and for all the goofiness, and as much as I would love to talk about these games, this isn't the video for it. But for a game all about gang violence, morality, and trying to live the best life you can, even with a dark past, where exactly does Miku fit into all this? Well, lovely viewer, if we visit the 5th game in the series and head on over to Sapporo while playing as Saejima, since he's the only one who can visit the area for story reasons I will get into, then if we go to Odari Park, we'll find an ice sculpture of Miku herself. Well, a chibi one, but it's still Miku herself. I'm not sure of the story behind the inclusion for this cameo, however, just like with Persona 4, Yakuza is a Sega franchise, so it wasn't out of the realm of possibilities that this would have happened, but still crazy nonetheless. Though what's crazier is that this isn't the only Miku inclusion in this game, as if you're aware, Haruka is a playable character in this game. And in her story sections, instead of having random brawls with the local Yakuza like Kiryu and the others, you instead have dance battles with other street dancers. With this in mind, and seeing that there's already a Miku cameo in the game, as well as Sega having rights to make the Miku rhythm games, it just makes sense to have Miku be a part of this somehow. And as much as I would love to say that you can have an intense dance battle against her in a side quest, or even having her be a secret boss for Haruka, that sadly isn't the case. Rather, RGG decided that Haruka should have a Miku costume as DLC. Oh, right, there are costumes that the other characters can wear, should have mentioned that. With it being DLC and it being a PS3 game, I most likely wouldn't have bought it even if I do love Miku, mainly due to me not having a PS3 and I'm usually reluctant to buy DLC. But thankfully when they ported the game to the PS4, they included all the DLC content with it, so I was able to get the Miku costume for Haruka. If only another game decided to do that instead of making you buy the DLC again. Anyways, to quickly talk about the costume, it's creepy to say the least, which is mainly due to PS Triple's graphics and Miku's style not really translating well in a realistic format. Or at least this costume doesn't, but it's mostly the PS3 graphics. I only blame the PS3 graphics because there was that one time where Tetsuya Nomura drew Miku in a little bit of a realistic format, or at least when he did like a CG trailer for the figure, Miku looked pretty good there, so it can work, but it just didn't work in this case. That's enough about Yakuza, and off to the next game. Okay, time to break up the continuity of talking about good games. Well, not a bad game per se, it did fall off. It's Fall Guys. The game's Fall Guys. Yeah, it's no Stumble Guys, where that game was a ripoff of this game until it randomly got popular because of Critical and Ludwig. But what Fall Guys has over Stumble Dudes is that it at least has Miku. Yeah, I can't really think of any other compliments to give it. Okay, the game isn't all too bad, but that's besides the point. What we're here to talk about is the Miku skin that's in the game, which was the only thing in the collab. So no special Miku music or emote. This is another one where the collab came out of nowhere. I mean, sure, the game had collabs with other properties like Half-Life, Street Fighter, Godzilla, Nier Automata, and Mr. Breast. But before the whole drama and allegations. With Miku, however, I just see her as this huge icon, and it sometimes makes it hard to believe that an indie game, even with how popular it was, and I'm pretty sure it is an indie game, being able to get the connections to add Miku to their game. But I guess it goes to show that anything's possible, if you have the rep and money to do so, at least. As for the costume itself, there really isn't much to say as it's Miku's iconic outfit with her hair, but you know, she now looks like a bean. One thing I will mention though is that the skin was only available for a limited time, which means that if you did buy the Miku skin when it was still available, then your account is probably worth a pretty penny to some Miku fan who also happens to play Fall Guys, which might be a rare few since I feel like those types of people already bought the skin, so your account might not actually be worth much. Unlucky. Okay, so this next game is another one of those unlikely collabs that you never thought would happen. Look, I know I've been saying that a lot in this video, but I put this in the same vein as with Yakuza 5. With this game being Monster Hunter of all things. Yes, Monster fucking Hunter. The next thing that you might be asking, if you're a Monster Hunter fan like me, is probably, oh hell yeah, so what game is she in? And this is where I sadly have to bring you the bad news, as it's not available in the modern Monster Hunter games, so no Worlds or Rise. This skin is only available in Monster Hunter Frontier G, which was on the PS3, Vita, the 360, PC, and the fucking Wii U. However, to bring even further sad news, the Miku skin, just like with Fall Guys, is no longer available. Well, legally that is. You see, Frontier G was an MMO which I didn't know about until kind of looking into it, but the collab was a part of an event, which meant that to get the armor and weapon sets, you'll have to have played during the event. Though on PC, it is feasible from what I've seen, as, from how I understand it, you need a private server and have someone modded to bring back the event to acquire the stuff. A bit complicated, but it is feasible. However, the same cannot be said with the console versions. As far as I'm aware, that is. Now for the armor itself, when I say armor, you probably think it's some special armor that's Miku themed, but it's not. It's essentially just a costume that your character puts on to look like her. And if you're wondering, yes, the male characters can indeed wear the outfit as well. Rejoice, male hunters. Another thing to mention is that donning the costume will also change your character's voice to have Miku's synthesized voice, which is pretty cool. But as you might have heard me mention earlier, you don't only get the costume, but you also get 4 Miku-themed weapons as well. Well, technically 2, since the other 2 are just palette swaps of the other ones. The first weapon is a hammer that looks like a megaphone, kinda nifty, and the other is a hunting horn that resembles a keyboard guitar. Again, pretty nice. Now, what if I tell you that the melody that the hunting horn plays is a rendition of Proof of a Hero sung by Miku herself? Intrigued now? So yeah, overall this collab is pretty sick, and now it makes me wish that Capcom would bring this back in Wilds. I mean, Miku's popularity has only risen over the years, and you'll see what I mean later in the video, so it'd be a waste to not reintroduce the costume to the game once again. So Capcom, please, I'm on my hands and knees right now. Add Miku in Wilds, and my life is yours! I think we should move on before I act more dramatic. This one's gonna be a quickie because this collab is for the gacha game. Yes, gacha. Destiny's Star Child, made by Shift Up. Now that studio's name may or may not sound familiar to some of you, depending on who you are, but for those who don't know, this is the infamous, or famous, again, very dependent on who you are, South Korean studio that made the popular gacha game, Nikkei, and PS5, currently, game, Stellar Blade. If you've played at least one of these games, or know about them, then you probably know that they have a particular way that they design women in their games, and because of that you probably have some opinions, and that will be no different with Destiny's Star Child. When it comes to degeneracy, they get an A+ in it because holy, some of the female designs in their games, especially Nikkei, can go wild. and the same can be said with Destiny's Star Child. Now look, I can sit here, get on my high horse, and preach how these games' depiction of women is la bad, at least design-wise, but I play Stellar Blade and still actively play Nikkei, so I can't really say much. But if you do want my opinion on it, I can agree that it is kind of bad to a certain degree with how the women are depicted visually, but I can't be bothered to be up in arms about it because I just feel like there's other stuff to be more angry about than the looks of 2D anime women. And plus, I don't completely think it's hurting anyone, though that's not to say that there aren't people that have gooning problems, and this could further worsen that. But that's a whole completely different subject that I'm not capable to tackle, nor is this video for that. So essentially, women la good and gooners la bad, as well as gotcha. That shit's evil. Now, what were we talking about again? Oh, yeah, Miku and DST. I'm just gonna abbreviate it. But yeah, the game had a Miku event, and don't worry, Miku fans, Miku was not sexualized in this game. Or do worry? I don't know. They didn't add Brazilian Miku. There you go. But they did have two different versions of Miku that you could have pulled, with those being regular Miku and Snow Miku. Can't really say much about the event because I never played it, and while I could just look up a video about the event and talk about it, do you really want me to do that? Like, I'm already dragging this video out, so did you really want me to do that? So I think we're fine on that, so I'm just gonna leave this topic at that. So now let's move on to the last game for this video, and one that I should have, but did not expect to happen. Yes. Miku in Fortnite. My mind is blown. To reiterate what I said a few seconds ago, this is something, in my mind, I never thought would happen, for this game at least. Which, saying that out loud sounds stupid to say, as of course it would have happened at some point. When you have such a majorly popular game, such as Fortnite, that has other celebrities in their game like Snoop Dogg, Travis Scott, Ariana Grande, Mr. Breast, and much more, then I guess you try to eventually collab with as many people as you can. I wouldn't be surprised if Epic tries to get a VTuber into the game. I mean, they already have YouTubers in it, and hell, maybe other famous people, like Leonardo DiCaprio as Calvin Candy, or even Jared Fogle. Okay, maybe not them. But as for the Miku collab in Fortnite, it makes the other collabs that I mentioned in this video seem like a joke. Because it's not only just Miku that they added, but a bunch of other stuff. There's obviously the Miku skin, however it's not just one or two, but 3 different Miku skins. And granted, the other 2 skins are somewhat alts, but hey, it's another Miku skin. You get 2 special emotes, the Miku Miku Beam, which plays a snippet of Magical Cure Love Shot, and Miku Live, which plays a snippet of the song Miku. That's all. That's the name of the song. There's also the backpack, skins for the drums and mic for the rhythm game mode, a mic stand for your pickaxe, and lastly, a special effect for when you're dropping that also plays a snippet of the song World Is Mine. All of this can be bought in a bundle for like 25 bones, which is a bit of cash to cough up, but I mean, it's Miku, man, and also the amount of stuff you get and how fucking cool they are is completely worth it as a Miku fan. I even almost forgot to mention, but when you do buy the Miku skin, there's 2 different effects that you can toggle on her to have her glow or not glow. Then there's another skin you get, but not for the Battle Royale mode or the other combat focus modes. Rather, you get a skin for the Lego mode. That's right, Lego Miku is fucking real, and I have no idea how to comprehend that. The only thing I can really say about that is, Lego, please make a Lego Miku set! Make this a reality, and my soul is yours! This is unbelievable, And this is all just from the regular item shop because there's the festival pass to look at, which also includes the other 2 Miku skins. The only other notable thing to get in that pass that I'll mention is the song that you can get, which sadly for some isn't another classic Miku song, but it's one of the songs that I've mentioned before, which is Magical Cure Love Shot. I personally like this song, and I think it's a good choice as having a classic and a new song kinda mints both sides of the fandom. At least that's what I think. I mean, sure, it would have been cool to have more Miku songs or even choose Mesmerizer, though I think the 2 song selections are well picked. Or 4. There's 4 songs. I mean, in the worst case, we could have gotten Mimokawa, nice try. I'm not gonna get into it, but god, I hate that song. And speaking of music, I almost completely forgot that this was a thing in Fortnite, even though I kind of offhandedly mentioned it. But you know how there's a rhythm game mode in Fortnite? Well, in that mode, 3 of Miku's songs are playable. They're the ones that I've mentioned, which are Miku, World Is Mine, and this one that I haven't mentioned, which is Daisy 2.0. I don't know how I feel about that last song, but it's there. Also, I don't know if Magical Cure Love Shot is unlockable by buying this song, but if it is, then there's a 4th one. This entire collab with Miku is just amazing, and because this is Fortnite, all of her stuff isn't limited to just her, or vice versa with the other collabs or emotes. You can play as fucking LeBron James, Cell, or even Gojo, and have them do the Miku Miku Beam. You can have Miku wear Nike Dunks. You can have her do the Gritty. You can have her squad up with fucking Ariana Grande, Godzilla, and fucking Jonesy. This is truly peak by all definition. So that's why I can safely say that this collab is probably the best thing that we'll ever see, and I don't think any other game could top this. This is just wild. And before I start glazing Fortnite too much, I think it's time that we start transitioning over to the conclusion of this video. And those are all the appearances that Miku has made in video games, as far as I'm aware. She's probably been in even more games that I'm even unaware of, presumably in gacha or other rhythm games. Like, even as I'm writing this, I just remembered the crossover with Super Monkey Ball Banana Rumble. However, I didn't want to drag out this video as much as I would love to for the sweet, sweet ad revenue. I was also planning on adding some fan-made Miku games in the end to sort of fill out the video, but didn't in the end because of, as I stated. Though if you do want me to talk about those fan games, then let me know in the comments. Overall though, with Miku's popularity getting bigger and bigger and just skyrocketing, partially due to anime becoming more and more mainstream as well as, well, now being in Fortnite, further planting that seed into the minds of children, it wouldn't surprise me to see her make even more appearances in other games. Which, as a Miku fan, makes me happy to see, but it also makes me hope that they'll go as far and beyond as they can with it. They probably won't go as far as the Fortnite collab since that's a very high bar to reach, but I do hope they'll do something more than just a Miku skin because, well, it's kinda lazy in my eyes. Unless they do what Monster Hunter did, which was the vocal change thing. Though I do also hope that it isn't a too frequent thing as it could eventually get tiring. Look, my love for Miku can only go so far before it reaches a limit. But if you're a Miku fan as well as a gamer, then there's little to no doubt that we'll eventually be eating good in the future. And that about covers everything, so let me know what you think of this video, your thoughts on these crossovers, or what games you'd like for her to be in, or even just what other games she's been in. I'd like to know. And I don't really know how else to end this video, so I'm just gonna say this is me signing out as I have to use the ad revenue I get from this video to buy some more Miku merch. Yeah. So have yourselves a damn good one, and see you guys till then.